Hey, so I want to talk about Teladoc, ticker symbols TDOC. Last time we looked at them was on June 4th, so about a month and a week ago. Let's just share the tracker. So right here we have Teladoc. Again, last time we saw or touched on this was June 4th. At that time, it was trading for $24. We had a buy point marked at 22. We also saw resistance at 30 and 41. I'll try to narrow that down to really just one resistance point that I'd be focusing on. And then we left a note saying that it was currently trading between $22 and $30. So once we look at the technical analysis, we'll see if any of those figures changed. Um, Also, this purple here, that indicates that I made a purchase of this stock around that date of about $24. So the plan is we're going to go over some news. I did some little bit of research here, and I found a couple articles, so I'll share that, and then we'll go into the technical analysis, and then we'll just wrap this up. So let's just get into it. So this first article, uh, this is about earnings. So just to give us a little broad view of the thing, so it is approaching its next earnings release, and they're expected to report earnings per share of negative 44 cents. So currently this one has not been profitable yet. Revenue is projected net sales of about $650 million, which would be up about 10% from a year ago. So trending positively. For the full year, uh, expected earnings are negative $1.38 per share. Again, not positive. And then revenue is projected to be about 2.62 billion. In terms of the earnings per share, this is an improvement of almost 100%. So I'm taking that to mean last year uh, per share earnings were negative 260, maybe 270, something like that. And then we're seeing about a 9% increase in revenue. Not as high as we probably want it to be, especially if this one's going to be trading at a premium. But let's continue on. So again, they're going to release their second quarter earnings on July 25th. So about another 2 weeks away, and then we'll be able to dive into this a little bit deeper and just see how they do against projections. And then this one kind of paints a better picture for us of what happened with this. And I guess because we know Teladoc was like a very speculative stock, I guess. And I'll break it down once we get to the technicals. And this is the last article. So uh, again, this graph here is going to kind of paint a picture for us. But the article, just the points I wanted to mention are the share price is down a whopping 89% in the last 3 years. So we'll touch on that in the technicals. And then over the last year, the share price fell 40% just in the past year. So, and then I guess let's look at the chart here on the screen. Um, so you can see the problem. I'm not sure if this is big enough, but up here at the top, we have this blue line that's representing revenue. So you can see down here at the bottom of the chart, we have 21, 22, and then today here in 23, and then projecting outwards. So I'm not going to look at this yet. I'm just focusing on what's been done. And so we have the blue line at the top, that's revenue. You can see it's, improving, it's getting higher, which is good. Then next we have this red line, which is representing the earnings. Um, Let me just make sure. Red and orange. Okay, no, the red and orange, again, at the bottom of the screen, that is free cash flow and cash from operations. So it's relatively flat, which is, again, obviously we'd want it to be higher, but the fact that it's positive or near zero, that's okay for a company like this. We're expecting that type of um, not profitable yet. But then the earnings, you can see where the disaster happened. So earnings was like, okay, we're kind of breaking even, but we're still losing. And then all of a sudden in 22, uh, we just weren't following it yet, not like we are now. So I'm not sure exactly what happened here. Um, Once they release their financial statements, maybe they'll mention it, and I can bring that to everyone's attention. Um, so if you're aware of this, by all means, let me know in the comments. You'll save me and probably others some time digging that up. But clearly, that was the issue. Earnings was like at a break even. I have to imagine everyone was expecting it to break even based on what we're seeing they're projecting for the future in 24 and 25. And then to experience reality of it looks like they dropped all the way down to negative $14 billion in earnings. To have something like that happen, uh, yeah, maybe they purchased something. For some reason that's ringing a bell. They must have made a purchase, and it wasn't the best purchase. Uh, Again, I'll look into it, but if you're more familiar with what happened there, let me know in the comments. Again, you'd save me and probably others some time. Uh, so then, to wrap up this article, Teladoc Health has also shed $291 million from its value in the past 7 days. Um, I wish I had the market cap to see how much of an impact that is, but I don't. And then to wrap this up, in the last 3 years, Teladoc saw its revenue grow by 41% per year, compounded. So that is what we're looking for. We want it to grow in that type of clip. So that's actually acceptable. But that is the news here. Again, hopefully I can find what caused that dip. But for whatever reason, I feel like it was an acquisition, that they just overpaid for an acquisition. Um, okay. So yeah, let's just go into the technicals. So let's zoom in here and let's just start off with where we left off last time, which was, again, June 4th. So June 4th, if we look at it, that was probably about a Sunday. And again, $24. So that's right at the peak of this green line, was 24. It looks like since then, it kind of traded flat. It did drop down to $22, which was our buy point. If we, again, this is why I encourage myself and you, if you have the Webull app, um, that allows you to set up notifications for if it hits a buy point. Uh, I need to work on that too, setting this up, because again, if we would have looked at this just last week, we might have hit this one perfectly, where it touched into the $22, which is our buy point. But due to timing, we just missed it. So here it is at 24. So over that past month and a week, roughly, it's been flat. There's been some volatility between about $22 and $25, but overall, it's just been flat. So the current price is still $24. Buy point. So let's zoom out a little bit. This is what I was referring to in the note, where I say it's been trading between $22 and $30. So 22 is that green line. That's where we have our buy point. And then $30 is where it's kind of been testing it. Yes, there's an instance here in November where for a week it broke above that point, but then the next week it pulled back. Same thing in about early February. It went over to 31, next week pulled right back. So for the most part, since, what is that, September of 22, so I'm just going to add that, since September of 22, and that's probably all we need for there, just to get the story straight. So yeah, I'm comfortable keeping my buy point of 22, especially after last week where it got to that point. And you know what I'm kind of seeing here? It's very slight, but it kind of looks like this is on a downtrend. The thing is, it's found its bottom, but that is okay. So I guess it's not really So what I'm looking at, and I can just draw in a trend line for us, is it's kind of doing this. And let me just make that purple, and we'll make it a thicker line so we can see it. It's kind of in this downtrend here. The reason why I'm hesitating to call it that is because 5 times really, this one refuses to go below 22. Will it? I guess, let's see. If I were to draw in another trend line, and I'm going to try to keep this as parallel as possible. I'll make it longer here in a second. But that's fairly parallel. We're going to zoom out a little bit. Let's go up. What's happening here? Okay, I messed something up here. Make this bigger. Okay. I rarely play around with the chart like that, so I'm not too used to it, but here we go. So getting all kind of messed up here. Okay, so here, let's drag this out to about the same point. Let me just make it as parallel as possible. So obviously that's too high, so let's drag it down. I'm kind of struggling to find a good spot. And that's just why I don't want to call this one a downtrend, because it's like, I guess one case that I could make is that we just saw it drop too low too fast, and maybe that's what happened here. And then, over the next couple months, it got back in that range, and now here we are. I hesitate to believe that, though. I guess we'll see over time, but I'm just going to remove it. It's a thought, but again, because it just seems to stop at 22, until it does otherwise, I'm comfortable with this. So yeah, resistance points of 30, which I'll keep that, and I'll make that the bold one. That is our primary point of interest, is 30. And then if it were to get above 30, we put 41 in here only because when it had this initial drop, and now I guess let's try to make this bigger. Is that how that works? Okay. So if we zoom out, man, this one was so high. But all I wanted to say is whenever it made this huge drop here on end of April of 22, it fell down to 30, caught itself, and then when it tried to climb, for whatever reason, 41 was the limit. But it hung out there for about a month and a half. So there is something to 41 for whatever reason. If we zoom out and over, I mean, 41 didn't really do anything in the past. If anything, I would argue like 37 was something. But that was back in 2017, so that was so far ago. I'm not really looking at it with the same opinion as I am with this instance. But 37, for whatever reason, it kind of did stall there for a little bit. 37 when it was trying to climb. 37, it did hang out there for a little bit. Ultimately, it wanted to go to 41, I guess because whatever it was doing in 2017, it was doing a little bit better, in 5 years since then. But yeah, the big question, and again, I'll look into this, or at least I'll try to find this answer. Man, we gotta, how do we do this? Let's zoom in. But yeah, this is the big story. I mean, clearly it was on fire until about 2020. And based on that chart we looked at, it was doing fine until about 21. So I guess, 21. Okay. I mean, the only thing I have to imagine it's Q4. I think the way it's spread out, it's Q4 earnings for 2021. Uh, I think that's when they made some purchase. I don't know why, but I feel like that's something they did. Um, but yeah, uh, clearly they must have released their earnings, and it was just terrible. And it had a big plunge, kept falling, because whatever situation they had, it was so bad, and it just wasn't getting better fast enough. But I guess for whatever reason, here we are at like 22, and that seems to be comfortable for people. Um, so yeah, I mean that's pretty much all we have. We'll, like I said, we'll keep following this one over time, but uh, here's the update for us. So currently, it's trading at 24, just like it was before. 5 point is still marked at 22. I'm comfortable with that. Resistance seems to be at 30, and it's currently trading between 22 and 30. It's been doing that since September of 2022. How many months is that? Currently trading between uh, since 22, September, October, November, December. So about 10 months here. Yeah, so nearly a full year it's been trading in that range. So yeah, it found some stability there. I'm going to keep this one as a green. If our timing would have been a little bit better, this would be like the perfect spot. But 24, that is close enough to 22 that I'm willing to buy it at that point. Uh, so that wraps this up. If you have any questions or want to add any insights from your point of view, think I missed something over the past month, feel free to let me know in the comments. And if you have questions, again, feel free to do or ask, and I'll do my best to answer that. Otherwise, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.